Thank you so much, Srinidhi Swamiji. Now we have the next speaker, Dr. M.A. Alwar Swamiji. Dr. M.A. Alwar Swami has done his PhD in Artificial Intelligence and Indian Philosophy. Currently he is a professor at Maharaja Sanskrit College, Mysuru. It is a PG center affiliated to Karnataka Sanskrit University, Bengaluru. He is a Sanskrit scholar specializing in Sanskrit literature and all systems of Indian philosophy. He has been active in the field of transdisciplinary and multidisciplinary studies, studying the contemporary relevance of ancient knowledge systems in the modern world. He is actively involved in development of multimedia packages for various aspects of Indian culture and heritage, and he is providing the concept and content for various websites portraying our ancient traditions. He is also organizing national and international seminars and conferences on various topics concerning traditional knowledge systems, and he is also involved in preparation of critical editions, translations, and publications of rare books. Thank you so much, Swamiji, for joining us. Today, in this session, Alwar Swamiji will be speaking on the topic Worldview of Vishista Adwaitha. Swamiji, over to you.
यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये काषाय शोभिकमनीयशिखानिमेषम् दण्डत्रयोज्ज्वलकरं विमलोपवीतम् उद्यद्दिनेशनिभमुल्लसरूर्ध्वपुण्ड्रम् रूपं तवास्तु यतिराजदृशोर्ममाग्रे न चेद्रामानुजेत्येषा चतुराचतुरक्षरी कामवस्थां प्रपद्यन्ते जन्तवो हन्तमादृशः पुण्याम्भोजविकासाय पापध्वान्तक्षयाय च श्रीमानाविरभूद्भूमौ रामानुजदिवाकरः. I am extremely happy to be addressing this august audience consisting of persons from several different walks of life who have assembled on this online platform that is being organized by this organization called Sthapana. When I received a letter from the founder of the institution called Sthapana, I was very happy, and the word Sthapana started to make me think the uniqueness and also the speciality of the name Sthapana. Because this word, Sthapana, is a Sanskrit word which literally means establishing something. Today, more than ever, there is a dire need to establish the time-tested values of Sanatan Dharma, which was established and espoused by our great Acharya, Ramanujacharya. So, it is also in the fitness of things that Sthapana is celebrating the Sthapana of the Statue of Equality in Hyderabad. As we all know today, the Prime Minister will be establishing the Statue of Equality. He will be unveiling the Statue of Equality. He will be inaugurating it. Ultimately, all these culminate in Sthapana or establishing of a particular entity or a particular concept. Today, while physically we are trying to establish the Statue of Equality in Hyderabad, It is also a catalyst for people from around the world to appreciate and follow the values that Ramanujacharya espoused during his long-lasting lifetime of 120 years. As far as I know, he is the only Acharya who lived for 120 years with the principal aim of establishing the principle of equality, if I may put it in that manner. Sri Tridandi Innajiya Swamiji, whose brainchild it is to prepare and consecrate the statue of equality at Sri Ramanagaram in Hyderabad, has done a wonderful job, or he has conceptualized something which is wonderful and also given it a befitting name called the Statue of Equality. We all know that of late, especially, people from different walks of life, like politicians, administrators, etc., talk about equality. And when they talk about equality, they talk about it as if it did not exist earlier. And they were the persons who are trying to establish it in a new manner in India. It is not so, because the concept of equality existed long, long ago. It has been there for many millenniums in India. Because when it was mentioned in the Sanskrit text as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the entire world is one family, was it not the concept of equality? There is a wonderful saying in Sanskrit which says, Mata cha Kamala Devi, Pita Devo Ramapatihi, Bandhava Haribhaktascha Swadesho Bhuvanatri. Which is my land, which is my country. The entire world is my country. The entire world is my land. And all the people who exist in this world are my own family members. Because all of us are the children of Lord Vishnu and Goddess Lakshmi. So this concept of equality existed from several millenniums or from time immemorial, if we could like to say it like that. So today, when people who are supposed to have got us freedom from the British or the constitution makers, etc., talk about the concept of equality that is enshrined in our constitution, it's not new. It existed from time immemorial in India. While today it is mentioned by politicians, etc., for political gains, it was never done so in Sanatana Dharma for any particular personal gain or profit or for the purpose of attaining any position in public life. And among the Sanatana Dharmis are the propounders of Sanatana Dharma. Ramanujacharya stands foremost because he stressed and practiced the concept of equality. In fact, in the history that is known to us among historical persons, Ramanujacharya is the first and foremost to practice and preach the concept of equality in its fullest sense. It was he who first espoused the concept of equality when he said, in the eyes of Sanatana Dharma, every person, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, age, nationality, etc., is equal. Then the question arises, how did he substantiate this principle of equality? Can we treat everybody as equal? Is it possible to treat any 2 or 3 persons as equal? Because we all know that each person is different in his own way. The karma of each person is different. Each person is born to different parents at different times, at different places. Even if 2 persons are born as twins, their destinies are totally different. So, it is mentioned in the texts of philosophy that no 2 persons can be equal in all respects, or even in few respects for that matter. When this is the case, how is it that one can say everybody is equal, or how can one practice the concept of equality? It is here that the contribution of Ramanujacharya is unique, because he said, of course, there can never be total equality in this world, because the law of nature is such that no 2 things are totally equal or totally similar to each other. Similarly, no 2 persons are totally similar to each other. But when the concept of attaining salvation comes, when the concept of attaining moksha comes, everybody should be considered as equal, because everybody has access to the path of moksha. This is the greatness of the teaching of Ramanujacharya when he practiced equality. And I would like to narrate a very small incident. Of course, the incident may be small, but its significance is so deep and vast that one can gauge the greatness of Ramanujacharya. Once he was asked by his one guru. Ramanujacharya had 5 different acharyas or preceptors. And the principal preceptor was known as Mahapoona or Periyanambi in Tamil. He was asked by his principal preceptor, namely Mahapoona, to go to another preceptor who was in Tirukkoštiyur or Goštipuram to seek the nuances of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, which is the principal mantra practiced by all the devotees of Vishnu. So Ramanujacharya went to this place called Goštipuram, which is about 150 kilometers away from Srirangam, or which is near modern day Trichy or Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. As soon as he went to his to-be Acharya, who is known as Goštipuram, he knocked on the door. And when he knocked on the door, the Acharya asked from inside, "Who is it?" Then Ramanujacharya said, "It is I." Then immediately the Acharya told from inside, "Please come after I am dead." Ramanujacharya could not understand the purport of this statement. How can a person meet another person after he is dead? So immediately Ramanujacharya returned back to Srirangam. This happened several times, and every time he knocked on the door of the Acharya whom he wanted to meet, he would get the same response. "Please come after I am dead." Finally, it dawned on Ramanujacharya that, so in Tamil it is said as "Nan Shatta Pinnaiva." Finally, it dawned on Ramanujacharya that next time when he went and knocked on the door of the Acharya in Goštipuram, when he asked, "Who is it?" then Ramanujacharya, instead of saying "I," he said "Adiyen." This is your servant who has come here. Immediately the Acharya was delighted and he opened the door and welcomed Ramanujacharya with open arms. So the first aspect that a person has to know is he has to overcome this ego which is called as I. So that is what the Acharya meant when he said, please come after I am dead. In English you have to say I am, because you have a subsidiary noun that goes with I. But because there is no such expression in English, so in English it literally means please come after the I is dead. That means unless a person overcomes his ego, he will not be able to achieve anything in life, especially in spiritual life. And when he overcomes his ego, it says I, it's a brand, mine, etc., which is known as Ahankara and Mamakara in Sanskrit. He will not be able to achieve anything spiritual in this life. And once he overcomes that I, half the job is done. His spiritual elevation is assured. Then Goshti-Poona welcomed him with open arms. And then he asked him about the purpose of the visit. Immediately Ramanujacharya said, I want to know the nuances of the Rahasya Mantras, as they are called in Shri Vaishnava parlance. And Goshti-Poona was very happy to impart the nuances of these Rahasya Mantras or the secret Vaishnava mantras. But before he did that, he put a condition to Ramanujacharya and said, you should not disclose this nuance, this secret meaning to anyone. Only on that condition I will teach you, or I will let you into the secret concepts. Then Ramanujacharya asked, why is it so? Why are you committing me to this secrecy? Then it was mentioned by the Acharya that any person who knows and understands and meditates on these nuances, which are imparted by the Ashtakshara Mahamantra or the Vaishnava mantras, can instantly attain salvation. They can transcend this evil world which is full of miseries. Of course, as of now, we may not feel it is full of miseries. Many people may be happy and enjoying their lives. But ultimately, everybody has to leave their bodies. And when they leave their bodies, what happens? Is the main question. Would they like to be born again and again and again? Or would they like to transcend this samsara or world which is full of miseries and which continues to have the cycle of births and deaths? So the Acharya told Ramanujacharya that the practice and meditation of the concepts that I am going to explain to you will gain instant liberation to all those who do it. It is such a powerful thing. And therefore, I want to give it to you and also ensure that you keep it a secret. Ramanujacharya accepted the condition, and he immediately was instructed to the secret aspects of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra by his Acharya Shri Goshti-Poona. Immediately afterwards, Ramanujacharya climbed upon the Gopuram, or the temple, the main entrance of the temple, and several people from all walks of life were all assembled there. And Ramanujacharya, of course, we did not have the public address systems or mics in those days. From the top of his voice, he called everybody. It was what we call a clarion call in English literature. So it was a clarion call for everybody who was present there. And he called all of them and said, now I am going to instruct you the nuances of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra, which if you practice and meditate upon, will gain you instant liberation. And upon hearing the words of Ramanujacharya, all the people rushed to the place where Ramanujacharya was standing. And Ramanujacharya, without any hesitation and without any inhibition, openly instructed all the people who were there. He mentioned about the nuances or the secret meanings of the Ashtakshara Mahamantra that he had just gained from Goshtipuram. All the people were overwhelmed. They had never imagined that they would get such a day would come in their lives when they would be let into the secrets of spirituality, secrets of the Vaishnava Dharma. And most of the people were immediately drawn inward, and they all started to meditate upon the mantra and also its nuances. Soon after, Ramanujacharya came down from the Gopuram. He climbed down from the Gopuram, and as he was about to proceed, he was encountered by a livid with anger Goshtipuram. Goshtipuram was so furious with him. He came before Ramanujacharya and asked him, do you know what is the punishment you are going to undergo for breaking your promise? Because in Shastras it is said, a person who breaks his promise does not have any atonement, any prayashchitta. In the Ramayana it says, Brahmagnecha Surapecha Goghne Bhagnamrate Tatha Nishkritir Vihita Shastre Kritaghne Nasti Nishkriti. A very, very beautiful saying. There is atonement or prayashchitta for a person who has killed a Brahmin or killed a cow, or a person who consumes liquor, which is actually a prohibited aspect, or a person who has broken his vow, a religious vow which is known as vrata. Brahmagne cha surape cha goghne bhagnavrate tata nishkritir vihita shastre. The Shastras give the procedures of atonement or prayashchitta or nishkriti. But kritaghne nasti nishkriti. If a person purposefully breaks a promise, there is no prayashchitta or atonement. And do you know that as a result of your doings, which I have just now disclosed the secret meanings of Ashtakshara to all people, you will immediately attain Naraka or you will go to hell. Then Ramanujacharya said, I accept this, O Guruji. But earlier it was mentioned by you that anybody who practices and meditates upon these meanings and also the Ashtakshara Mahamantra will attain moksha or salvation. So if thousands of people who have just listened to my discourse on this aspect, which was given to me by you, can attain liberation immediately, what if I, one person, go to hell? If all these 1,000 people go to heaven or attain moksha, heaven is not the right word. If all these persons are going to attain liberation, I don't mind going to hell. So can there be a better concept of equality? Immediately the Acharya was overwhelmed and he embraced Ramanujacharya and he said, Veera Raghavan, you are my God. Because it is said that God is the personification of compassion. But Ramanujacharya emulated the Supreme Lord Narayana himself in compassion. And therefore he was called as Emberumanar, which is an honorific given to Ramanujacharya alone, which exceeds the honorific given to God himself. So this one single event is enough to let us know the greatness of Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was the repository of several qualities. But one most important quality that stood out in the personality of Ramanujacharya was his compassion. Today, when we see people around the world, when we watch TV, when we watch films, etc., the most glaring lacuna that we feel is people do not have compassion. We see when we see action movies, we see several thousands of people being killed with AK-47s. And we don't feel anything at all because we have totally lost our sensitivity and also sensibility. The main reason is we lack compassion here in our heart. So, what is the message of Ramanujacharya today? Because when I was asked to give this lecture, I was actually thinking there are thousands of dimensions to the life of Ramanujacharya that we all need to know. And what can be said in half an hour or 45 minutes? Then I felt that I meditated upon the Jnana Shloka of Ramanujacharya. And in that, one outstanding aspect is mentioned. Asmad Guror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindho Ramanujasya Charano Sharanam Prapadye. Though there are several dimensions to Ramanujacharya's life and personality, the outstanding aspect is he was an ocean of compassion. Anybody whom he saw who was suffering, he would immediately attempt to alleviate that suffering from that person. Whether it was physical or spiritual or concerning any aspect of his life. So, these are all very important concepts because when Ramanujacharya is described, he is given a unique honorific called Kripamatra Prasannacharya. So in Sri Vaishnava tradition, there are two types of acharyas. The first category of acharyas are called as Anuvritti Prasannacharya. So in those days, we all knew if a person had to gain some spiritual knowledge, he would have to perform all types of services to the acharya. Probably he would have to physically assist him in preparing his food or attending to his needs, washing the clothes of the acharya, and also tending to his feet as a service, bringing the necessary utensils or provisions, etc., and giving it to the acharya, etc. And after several days or months or years, the acharya would condescend to the level of the student or the disciple or the spiritual aspirant, and then let him into the secrets of spirituality. But Ramanujacharya was totally different. In the sense, he was known as Kripamatra Prasannacharya. All the services that a disciple is supposed to do to the Acharya would do to the disciple. That is the greatness of Ramanujacharya. Because he would say, oh, this soul is suffering so much. I want to alleviate the suffering of this soul. So he would actually approach the disciple and say, oh disciple, please follow this path. It will alleviate you from suffering. It will gain you permanent happiness and bliss. Please follow the path of moksha. And when one follows the path of liberation, I will come to that, what is the path, but already the time allocated to me is getting over. He also gets rid of his physical sufferings. That is the uniqueness of the spiritual path. Today, we have several modern acharyas or gurus who give different fancy names by which we are all attracted. It is being called as inner engineering or something like that, which immediately attracts all the IT savvy youths. While these are very good, they have to be commended upon, these concepts are not at all new, according to me. So when we call it as inner engineering, people flock to get the solutions. But what Ramanujacharya said is not only inner engineering, it is much more than that actually. It is engineering of the entire being, including the body, mind, soul, etc. And which is that path that Ramanujacharya espoused? Which is the path Ramanujacharya established? It is the path of bhakti or devotion. Even those philosophers who do not accept the viewpoints of Ramanujacharya openly accept that it was Ramanujacharya who was the first Acharya to unite the entire country under the banner of Bhakti. He said, anybody, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, age, etc., is eligible to attain moksha and also prove it. So, when I saw that it was the statue of Ramanujacharya was called as the Statue of Liberty, not Statue of Liberty, like Statue of Liberty, Statue of Equality. I thought it is the right thing that has been done. It is in the fitness of things. Because in the eyes of God, everybody is equal. And everybody is eligible to attain moksha or salvation. So I will not delve more into this topic. I want to say a few words about other things also. Another very important question that might come today is, what is the contemporary relevance of the message of Ramanujacharya? Of course, ultimately it is liberation that every person would like to attain, in the sense those who know a little bit about what life is all about. Today, 99% or 99.9% of the people do not think about liberation at all. For example, even if you take my case, how much of my time do I think about liberation or try to attain it? So today's youths may ask the question, what is the relevance of Ramanujacharya's message to the modern youth who are interested in material gains? Is there anything that we youth can gain in our modern day-to-day life from Ramanujacharya? That's why I said, what is the contemporary relevance of the message of Ramanujacharya? This is a very difficult question to answer for ordinary scholars. But some persons have also greatly realized the contemporary relevance of Ramanujacharya's teachings. For example, I would like to share one or two aspects. Today, we all are very much enamored about memory power. So when you take the progress of the memory of computers, for example, in the 90s, we said 540 MB. A hard disk will have a hard disk, either in a laptop or a desktop, the memory of the hard disk will be 540 MB. Then it became 1 GB. Then it became 8 GB, 10 GB, 500 GB. Then today we have terabytes. So first it was kilobytes, then it was megabytes, then it was gigabytes, then it is terabytes. And every few years we progress from terabytes to several more, I don't know, 3 or 4 different terminologies have been evolved. Because we may have 1,000 terabytes, then 10,000 terabytes, 10 million terabytes, etc. also. We already have it. But when you refer to the works of Ramanujacharya, authored 1,000 years ago, it is seen that he has quoted from 400 different works. But did you have any library in those days which had indexing? Did you have any search facility, online search facility like Google, where you could search for the information and immediately put it? Or did you have something like WorldCat or something like that, where you can get references to any particular journal, etc.? Nothing of that sort was there. Then how was it that Ramanujacharya could quote from 400 different works, which runs into several terabytes of information or data? Not only it was data, it was also information. It was also knowledge. Those who are familiar with computer terminology can realize the difference between data, information, knowledge, wisdom, etc. I will not go into that. So it is seen that Ramanujacharya possessed a phenomenal memory, which ran into several terabytes. But once again, as I mentioned, the uniqueness of Ramanujacharya is he wanted every other person to attain what he himself had attained. Indirectly, he has mentioned how a person can increase his memory power, which is known as mnemonics in the modern terminology. Even today, if we follow the hidden meanings of Ramanujacharya's works or the theories propounded in Ramanujacharya's works, we all can possess terabytes of memory, and everything will be online here, not online when you type on a laptop or on a tab or something like that. Similarly, when we today talk about data compression. But Ramanujacharya went far ahead. He did not deal with data compression. Neither did he deal with information compression. He dealt with knowledge compression. Similarly, but to explain that I require at least 1 hour, the contribution of Ramanujacharya to the concept of knowledge compression, to the concept of mnemonics, to the field of discourse analysis, which is one of the hot topics today, to the field of artificial intelligence, which concerns machine perception and so many other aspects. So, when we consider all these aspects, we can see that the philosophy of Ramanujacharya is universal. It's not outdated. It is of extreme contemporary relevance, which can be proved beyond doubt and which is to be accepted by one and all, irrespective of their religious or philosophical affiliations. So these are the aspects that we need to know about Ramanujacharya, and only when we know about these aspects, we can actually appreciate the greatness and uniqueness of this greatest of the great Acharyas. But that has to be done over a long period of time, which requires a huge amount of knowledge and time resources. And I think I have been able to say a few words. 45 minutes is too short a time to talk about the greatness of an Acharya like Ramanujacharya. And my knowledge resources too are extremely limited to talk about this greatest of the great personalities. So with these words, I conclude my address. I am extremely thankful to the organizers, namely the Sthapana Foundation and also the Veranda Club, for giving me an opportunity to share a few words. I hope I have been able to enlighten you to at least a few aspects of Ramanujacharya. And I thank one and all, though I am not able to see the audience directly, I can feel the pulse of the audience. I am sure all of you have actively participated in the session by intently listening to what I have been saying. And I thank one and all for this opportunity, and also Ms. Harishruti, who has been following up with me incessantly to have this address properly telecast over this new platform. I thank once again everybody and conclude my address. Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha.
Thank you, Alwar Swamiji. We invite audience participants. If they have any questions, they can put it forward to be answered by me. Any questions from the audience side?
Namaskaram. I have a question. This modern youth, they always say that they don't have time. Religious is something that only old people have to deal with it. So, what is your thought process in telling and educating them? It's very difficult to explain how and when and how relevant religion is on a day-to-day basis. It's very hard to prove our beliefs and what we follow. So what are your ideas and suggestions for the youth?
First aspect is, there is a saying in English which says it's only a busy man who finds time. So if a person says I don't have time, it means he is not interested in it. This is the most important principle. If a person says I don't have time, it means he is not interested. Because if a person wants to do something, he will find time for it. So this is the first answer. The second answer is, today, especially the youths, they are totally confused about their priorities. So generally, people say, the first point here to be noted is, the parents have to educate children when they are young. Today, due to gadgets and the onslaught of information technology and TV and the satellite TV and so many other aspects, 99% the youths are addicted to gadgets and several other such things. and parents themselves are also addicted to gadgets. So everybody, if you go to a house and see people, everybody will be having a gadget in front of them, and nobody will talk to each other or they may say yes, no, or something like that. The interaction between parents and children is minimal today. And even if there is some interaction, it may result in some quarrel or something like that. So the first thing is parents have to educate themselves regarding how to educate children. And after that only they can actually show how, because many a times I have seen when children ask certain questions, parents ask their parents certain questions, parents are not able to give the answers. Immediately the children will lose respect with regard to their parents, and therefore they will not listen to them. So the first thing is parents have to educate themselves and also educate themselves, the children. These are all social issues which have to be discussed separately. Earlier, about when I was young, for example, the grandparents used to educate the grandchildren, and they would instill the sense of samskaras or good things in their grandchildren. Today, due to the advent of nuclear families and several other social changes, this thing is not happening, due to which the youths are going astray or they are not interested in tradition and culture. So this is a social issue that needs to be addressed. So I would like to end my response with these words. I hope you agree with me.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Swami. Next question. We have any other question?
Swamiji, can I be heard?
Yeah. Yes, please go ahead.
Swamiji, there is a lot of misconception with regard to Hindu religion, particularly the Varnashrama Dharma and the caste system. Some of us are aware that Varnashrama Dharma is more of a professional classification, and the caste system in its origin belongs to a Portuguese region. And this is often being used to attack the Hindu religion. However, Swami Ramanujacharya, the great Acharya, has given us a good opportunity to steer clear of that. Is there a very simple manner or a simple answer through which that we can address the so-called critics who are actually not well informed, but they keep on attacking us every day? Instead of being too much on the defensive, how do we handle it?
This is a very important question, but it's a very serious and deep question, and I think it's a question that cannot be answered within a few minutes, because Ramanujacharya actually propounded the Varnashrama Dharma. Nowhere he has said that Varnashrama Dharma should be transgressed or something like that. But at the same time, when it came to devotees of the Lord, he said there is no caste, creed, etc. So there is a very fine balance with which we have to understand this thing. And also, like you said, the caste system, when it originated, how it happened, and this is being used by people to belittle our Dharma, etc. You are absolutely right. That we have to discuss separately in a separate forum. So I think that we can discuss it separately.
Can we say like this, though there is a professional classification that exists, Ramanuja stated that the ultimate goal of the Purusharthas, the ultimate goal of the Indian or the Bharatiya is liberation and company of God.
Correct.
In that everybody is equal.
Yes.
So as far as the goals are concerned, we are equal.
Yes.
Can we say that because India is a spiritual country?
You are absolutely right.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Rajeshji. Thank you, Swamiji. We have a question from audience, Ms. Chandini. She says so. Swamiji, is it necessary for everyone to pray, perform heavens and recite sloka, or just by doing good deeds and reciting Ramajapa, one can attain peace? Please clarify.
According to me, it's an individual choice. So several paths have been mentioned in our ancient so you can follow any one of these which you are familiar and
1 minute, Swamiji. Rajesh ji, can you please go on mute? Thank you. Yes, Swamiji.
So this is a very general question by Chandani ji. So as I mentioned, there are several methods or aspects that are mentioned in our Shastras. So one person might attain peace by doing Ramajapam only, then that is fine. So it depends on the person. So who is the person, etc. So it cannot be totally correctly answered in a general sense, because who is the person, what is his status in life, etc. So it has to be answered taking into consideration all these aspects. But to give a very general reply, yes, whatever is conducive to that person can do and attain peace.
Thank you, Swamiji. On a general note, see, as you mentioned, elders are very much oriented, or they have heard from their grandparents or parents. But present generation, I feel there's a gap in the generation of our parents and our generation, the present youth. So you have any suggestion how we can bridge this gap? There are people in my youth generation who are interested or started getting interested in this kind of Anmiha areas. Any suggestions?
No, it's a good question. As I said, a social change has to occur. So the main thing is now parents have to, that is why I said parents have to educate themselves and then they have to educate their children. Because there is a generation gap as far as passing on of the values and traditions is concerned. So that generation gap has to be closed, and then so we have to start newly educating our youth or young children regarding all these things, because a gap has occurred in the generation, whether it is education or even the samskaras or the knowledge of the texts like Ramayana, Mahabharata. Now, today the main problem is, once again, it's a general question, so I'll not go deep into it. Suppose you ask a boy who is about 15 years old about some Western rock music or something, he will immediately answer the question. Whereas if you ask the boy about Ramayana, something in Ramayana, who was the father of Rama, or if you ask who was the father of Pandu or something like that, as it comes in the Mahabharata, they will not know. Because they are not exposed to that knowledge at all. They have been exposed to all types of knowledge on cricket or films or things like that. So that thing has to be overcome, and we have to newly educate. For that, we have to have schemes and things like that. Of course, some people are already doing it, but what is being done is not enough. Much more needs to be done. So that generation gap has to be closed somehow or the other. Slowly, some realization is coming, but once again, it has to happen at a large scale.
Thank you, Swami ji. Any other questions from the audience?
If it's a general question, we'll deal with it some other time. But if it's something to do with the talk, how to avoid conflicts between our schools of Vedantas. When you read all the schools properly, you will find that there is no conflict. How it can be reconciled when you go deep to all the three systems of philosophy, then you can understand that there is no conflict. So each person propounded it from a different point of view. So to put it in a nutshell, the methodology of avoiding conflict between our schools of Vedanta is to study them deeply and understand them properly. That is the answer.
Thank you, Swami. I hope we are done with the questions from the audience.
So I
Thank
hope
you,
we can
Swami.
close because I have another meeting to attend. So,
Sure, Swami. Sure, Swamiji. Thank you for your esteemed presence. We would like to have another longer session with you where you can elaborately explain all the preachings of Ramanujacharya. Thank you for your time. Before there is one more question from the audience. How to avoid conflicts between our schools of Vedanta? Swami has explained about it in a nutshell that a deeper learning of all our Vedas and Shastras and Upanishads or whatever the books we have will help us do it. Maybe we can have it as a topic for another session. Thank you for your question, Samira ji. Next, we have Janani and her sister who will join us for a small gym rental. Janani.
Namaskaram, everybody. I am Janani Govin.
I'm Srinidhi Govin.
So we'll be presenting Pasurams. First, we'll start with Ezhuvar Vidai Kolvar by Polgai Alwar. எழுவர் விடை கொள்வார் ஈர்த்துழாயானை எழுவர் விடை கொள்வார் ஈர்த்துழாயானை வழுவா வகை நினைந்து வைகள் தொழுவார் வழுவா வகை நினைந்து வைகள் தொழுவார் வினை சுடரை நந்துவிக்கும் வேங்கடமே வினை சுடரை நந்துவிக்கும் வேங்கடமே வானோர் மனச்சுடரை தோண்டும் மலை வானோர் மனச்சுடரை தோண்டும் மலை வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா 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 சங்கடஹரணா கோவிந்தா 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 ஹரி கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா. Now we'll be singing Purindu Madavelam by Alwar. புரிந்து மதவேரம் மாப்பிடியொழுடி புரிந்து மதவேரம் மாப்பிடியொழுடி திரிந்து சினத்தால் பொழுது திரிந்து சினத்தால் பொழுது விரிந்த சீர்வெண் கோட்டு முத்துதிர்க்கும் வேங்கடமே விரிந்த சீர்வெண் கோட்டு முத்துதிர்க்கும் வேங்கடமே மேலொரு நாள் மண் கோட்டு கொண்டான் மலை மேலொரு நாள் மண் கோட்டு கொண்டான் மலை வேங்கடமே திருமலையே வேங்கடமே வேங்கடமே திருமலையே வேங்கடமே வேங்கடமே திருமலையே வெங்கடமே, வெங்கடமே திருமலையே வெங்கடமே, வெங்கடமே திரு வெங்கடமே, வெங்கடமே திரு வெங்கடமே, வெங்கடமே திரு வெங்கடமே, வெங்கடமே திரு வெங்கடமே. Now we'll be presenting Ozhivilakalam by Nammalvar. ஒழிவில் காலமெல்லாம் உடனாய் மன்னி, ஒழிவில் காலமெல்லாம் உடனாய் மன்னி, வழுவிலாடிமை செய்ய வேண்டும் நாம், வழுவிலாடிமை செய்ய வேண்டும் நாம். தெரிக்குறள் அருவி திருவேங்கடத்து, தெரிக்குறள் அருவி திருவேங்கடத்து, எழில்கொள் சோதி எந்தை தந்தை தந்தைக்கு, எழில்கொள் சோதி எந்தை தந்தை தந்தைக்கு. வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே, வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே, வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே. கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா, வெங்கடரமணா கோவிந்தா. Now we'll be presenting Mandippai by Tirupannalvar. மந்திப்பாய் வட வேங்கடமாமலை, மந்திப்பாய் வட வேங்கடமாமலை, வானவர்கள் சந்தி செய்ய நின்றான், வானவர்கள் சந்தி செய்ய நின்றான். அரங்கத்தரவில் அடையான், அரங்கத்தரவில் அடையான். வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே, வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே, வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே, வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே, வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே, வெங்கடவா அரங்கனே. அந்தி போல் நிறத்தாடையும் அதன் மேல் அயனை படைத்ததோர் எழில், அந்தி போல் நிறத்தாடையும் அதன் மேல் அயனை படைத்ததோர் எழில், உந்தி மேலதன்றோ அடியேன் உள்ளத்து இன்னுயிரே, உந்தி மேலதன்றோ அடியேன் உள்ளத்து இன்னுயிரே. கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா ஸ்ரீனிவாச கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா ஸ்ரீனிவாச கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா ஸ்ரீ வெங்கடேಶ கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா ஸ்ரீ வெங்கடேಶ கோவிந்தா, கோவிந்தா ஹரி கோவிந்தா ರಂಗನಾಥ ಗೋವಿಂದ, ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಂಗನಾಥ ಗೋವಿಂದ, ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ, ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ, ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ, ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ. Next we'll be presenting Pesumin by Thirumangai Alwar. பேசுவின் திருநாமம் எட்டெழுதும் சொல்லி நின்று பின்னரும், பேசுமின் திருநாமம் எட்டெழுதும் சொல்லி நின்று பின்னரும் பேசுவார் தமையுய்ய வாங்கி பிறப்பருக்கும் பீரானிடம் பேசுவார் தமையுய்ய வாங்கி பிறப்பருக்கும் பீரானிடம் வாசமாமலனாருவார் பொழில் சூழ்தரும் உலகுக்கெல்லாம் வாசமாமலனாருவார் பொழில் சூழ்தரும் உலகுக்கெல்லாம் தேசமாய் திகழும் மலை திருவேங்கடமடை நெஞ்சமே தேசமாய் திகழும் மலை திருவேங்கடமடை நெஞ்சமே 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 திருவேங்கடமடை நெஞ்சமே. Now we'll be presenting Pattrail by Thirumangai Alwar again. பற்றேல் ஒன்றுமிலே பாவமை செய்து பாவியனே பற்றேல் ஒன்றுமிலே பாவமை செய்து பாவியனே மற்றேல் ஒன்றறியே நாயனை எங்கள் மாதவனே மற்றேல் ஒன்றறியே நாயனை எங்கள் மாதவனே கல்தேன் பாய்தொழுகும் கமல சுன்னை வெங்கடவா கல்தேன் பாய்தொழுகும் கமல சுன்னை வெங்கடவா அற்றேன் வந்தடைந்தேன் அடியேனை ஆட்கொண்டருளே அற்றேன் வந்தேன் அடியேனை ஆட்கொண்டருளே வேங்கடமே திரு வேங்கடமே வேங்கடமே எங்கள் வேங்கடமே 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 வேங்கடமே. Now the next presentation will be Taaye Thandai, again by Thirumangai Alwar. தாயே தந்தை என்றும் தாரமே கிளை மக்கள் என்றும் தாயே தந்தை என்றும் தாரமே கிளை மக்கள் என்றும் நோயே பட்டொழிந்தேன் உன்னை காண்பதொராசையினால் நோயே பட்டொழிந்தேன் உன்னை காண்பதொராசையினால் வேயை பூப்பொழில் சொல்விரைய திருவேங்கடவா வெங்கடவா 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 திருவேங்கடவா வெங்கடவா திருவேங்கடவா வெங்கடவா திருவேங்கடவா வெங்கடவா திருவேங்கடவா வெங்கடவா திருவேங்கடவா வேயை பூம்பொழில் சூழ்விரைய சிறுவேங்கடவா நாயேன் வந்தடைந்தேன் நல்கியாலனை கொண்டருளே நாயே வந்தடைந்தேன் நல்கியாலனை கொண்டருளே. गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा वेंकटरमणा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा वेंकटहरणा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा संकटहरणा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा संकटहरणा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा श्रीनिवासा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा श्रीनिवासा गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा श्री वेंकटेश गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा श्री वेंकटेश गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा गोविंद 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 गोविंदा. The last presentation, we'll be presenting AkkArakkani by Nammalvar, and in the end we would like all of you to chant Govindanamam along with us. AkkArakkani அலர்மேல் மங்கையுரை மார்பாய் அகலகில்லே நிறையும் என்று அலர்மேல் மங்கையுரை மார்பாய் நிகரில் புகழாய் உலகம் மூன்றுடையாய் என்னை ஆழ்வானே நிகரில் புகழாய் உலகம் மூன்றுடையாய் என்னை ஆழ்வானே நிகரில் அமரார் முனிக்கணங்கள் விரும்பும் திருவேங்கடத்தானே நிகரில் அமரார் முனிக்கணங்கள் விரும்பும் திருவேங்கடத்தானே புகழொன்றில்லாடே உன்னடி கீழமர்ந்து புகுந்தேனே புகழொன்றில்லாடே உன்னடி கீழமர்ந்து புகுந்தேனே கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா வெங்கடரமண கோவிந்தா 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 கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா 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 வெங்கடரமண கோவிந்தா கோவிந்தா கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா 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 வெங்கடரமண கோவிந்தா 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 கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா 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 வெங்கடரமண கோவிந்தா 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 கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா 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 வெங்கடரமண கோவிந்தா 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 கோகுலநந்தன கோவிந்தா. Thank you.
Thank you, Janini and Srinidhi. Can we have some more? We would love to listen to some more of your bhajans. Can we have some more?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we'll sing a song on drama by Papanasam. ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ரகுராம கல்யாண ராம கோதண்ட ராம பட்டாபிராம ரகுவீர ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ரகுராம கல்யாண ராம கோதண்ட ராம பட்டாபிராம ரகுவீர ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ராமனந்த ஆனந்த தாரக ராமனந்த ஆனந்த தாரக ராமானந்த ஆனந்த தாரக ராமானந்த ஆனந்த தாரக ராமன் இக்ஷ்வாகு குல கடலையிலே சோமல் ஆனந்த தாரக ராமன் இக்ஷ்வாகு குல கடலையிலே சோமல் அதி சுந்தர மிகு தசரத நந்தன ஜெய ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ரகுராம கல்யாண ராம கோதண்ட ராம பட்டாபிராம ரகுவீர ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா கண்டோரை கேட்டோரை ஒரு நொடி தல்வசம் கவர்ந்து ஆளும் ஒய்யாரம் கண்டோரை கேட்டோரை ஒரு நொடி தல்வசம் கவர்ந்து ஆளும் ஒய்யாரம் காந்தியும் உறுதியும் நீதியும் புத்தியும் கலந்து ஊரு கொண்ட தீரன்
காந்தியும் முரதியும் நீதியும் புத்தியும் கலந்து உரு கொண்ட தீரன் உண்டான மொழி பேச உரை வேணுமா போலே உத்தமன் பேசும் கம்பீர உயர்ந்தோங்கும் உறவத்தை நொடி கழகையறிகள் ஓடி வந்து சரணாகும் ரகுவீரன் ரணதீரன் உயர்ந்த நெடுங்கிரி கொடுமுடியோவென ஓங்கி வளர்ந்திகள் தோழன் உலகம் வாழ அபயம் தரும் கைகளில் ஓடி வந்து முழங்கால் வரை நீடும் வியனொரு சங்கு போன்ற கண்டத்தழகொடு விண்மதியையும் கண்ணமுமாளும் விஞ்சி அவர் அழகை சொல்லுவதென்றார் வீணான காரியமானாலும் கேளும் ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா ரகுராம கல்யாண ராம கோதண்ட ராம பட்டாபிராம ரகுவீர ராமன் பெருமை சொல்ல தரமா
Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, you should. Sure, you can.
Oh. Okay, we'll conclude with an abhang in Marathi.
भूतमोढे भूतमोढे भूतमोढे
भूतमोठे 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 पैढरीचे भूतमोठे पैढरीचे भूतमोठे पैढरीचे भूतमोठे पैढरीचे भूतमोठे पैढरीचे भूतमोठे आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे आल्या गेल्या झडपी आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे पैढरीचे भूत मोठे पैढरीचे भूत मोठे बहु केसरीच राणा बहु केसरीच राणा बहु केसरीच राणा बघा हे वेडे होय माना बघा हे वेडे होय माना बघा हे वेडे होय माना पैढरीचे भूत मोठे पैढरीचे भूत मोठे जाऊ नका कोणी जाऊ नका कोणी तिथे जाऊ नका कोणी कोणी तिथे जाऊ नका कोणी कोणी तिथे जाऊ नका ओ जाऊ नका इथे जाऊ नका कोणी जाऊ नका तिथे जाऊ नका कोणी कोणी तिथे जाऊ
तिथे जाऊ नका कोणी, कोणी तिथे जाऊ नका कोणी, तिथे गेले नाही आले, नाही आले, नाही आले. पर दोन्ही पैढरीचे भूत मोठे, पैढरीचे भूत मोठे. तुका पंढरीची गेला, तुका पंढरीची गेला, तुका पंढरीची गेला. पुन्हा जन्म नाही आला, पुन्हा जन्म नाही आला, पुन्हा जन्म नाही आला. पंढरीचे भूत मोठे, पंढरीचे भूत मोठे, पंढरीचे भूत मोठे, पंढरीचे भूत मोठे. आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे, आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे, आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे, आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे, आल्या गेल्या झडपी आल्या गेल्या झडपी वाटे. पंढरीचे भूत, पंढरीचे ओ पंढरीचे भूत मोठे, भूत मोठे, भूत मोठे, भूत मोठे.
Thank you,
so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Janani Srinidhi. It was very nice rendition. It was nice, pleasing to the ears. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.